Let me tell you something. Steve knew I was having an affair with Marjorie, okay?
Steve, you saying Steve Harvey knew?
Yes, he knew. He wanted me to have an affair with Marjorie.
What?
So what y'all doing? Find something else to do. Be fine.
Okay.
What is going on with this latest controversy? Are people really saying that Steve Harvey knew about the rumors surrounding Marjorie and was completely fine with it? Look, I always felt like there was more to the story when it came to the Harveys, but this twist? Nobody saw that coming. And before anyone jumps to conclusions, it's important to remember that this could simply be another rumor campaign targeting the family. So yes, those relationship rumors have popped up again, and here's what people have been talking about. A while back, claims started spreading online alleging that Marjorie had been involved in a situation behind Steve's back, with different reports naming different people. Some stories even went as far as claiming that a divorce filing was involved and that a massive financial settlement was being requested. Not long after, several sources and people said to be close to the family pushed back against those claims and called the reports completely false. Marjorie also shared a post about dealing with false stories before later removing it and clarifying that the information wasn't true. At the time, she stated, "My husband and I don't usually stop to address all the foolishness and lies that have been spread about us." That response only made the conversation online even louder. She went on to say, "However, to whom much is given, much is required. I understand that with my platform comes some sort of responsibility to those that may not be as strong as we are." That message got a lot of attention at the time and sparked even more discussion online. And when those rumors completely took over social media, Steve didn't stay quiet. He stepped onto the stage at a major event in Atlanta and directly addressed all the chatter. Speaking to the crowd, he made it clear that he and Marjorie were doing fine and suggested that people online should focus their attention elsewhere. But now the speculation is starting making the rounds again. Some people are pointing back to comments from William Freeman, also known as Big Boom, who claims he was the person who originally introduced Marjorie to Steve Harvey. According to Freeman, there's an interesting backstory behind how they first connected, and he says it all began in a very unexpected place. According to Freeman, he and Marjorie were involved in running a poker house years ago, and he claims that Steve Harvey would regularly stop by to play cards. Freeman says that this is actually how Steve and Marjorie first crossed paths. If that's true, some people have questioned whether the more widely known story about their first meeting is completely accurate. Freeman didn't stop there. He also alleged that people connected to Steve's circle encouraged him to stay quiet about the story and claimed that he was offered money to avoid discussing it publicly. It's important to note that these are allegations and have not been proven.
One thing about, one thing, I've always loved black people. I've always loved my people. Y'all belong to me and I belong to y'all. Before I get started, just let me say, I'm fine. Marjorie's fine.
He then made even more claims, alleging that Steve wanted attention focused elsewhere to help avoid scrutiny surrounding rumored personal relationships behind the scenes during the run of the Steve Harvey Show. Freeman specifically mentioned Terry Vaughn and Renee McCall West Robinson, both of whom appeared on the show while discussing those allegations. He also claimed that Terry Vaughn was involved in a relationship with comedian Cedric the Entertainer at the time. Freeman further alleged that Steve wanted outside attention directed toward Marjorie as a way to shift focus away from rumors about his own personal life. These claims have circulated online for years, but they remain unverified and continue to be heavily debated whenever the topic resurfaces. Just when it seemed like the story couldn't get any more surprising, Freeman made another major claim involving Marjorie Harvey's daughter, Lori Harvey. He publicly alleged that he is her biological father, a statement that immediately got people talking online. To support his claim, Freeman pointed to photos of himself from his younger years and argued that there was a strong resemblance between him and Lori. He also claimed that Steve Harvey was aware of what he was saying. However, it's important to stress that these allegations have not been verified and remain unconfirmed. Honestly, the reaction from many people was pure shock. The claims being made were so unexpected that they quickly sparked debate across social media. At the same time, there is no public evidence confirming these statements, so they should be viewed as allegations and speculation rather than established facts. Still, the confidence with which Freeman presented his story is one reason the conversation continues to grab attention. One thing I can tell you is that these rumors have been circulating for a very long time. Over the years, countless stories and opinions have surfaced about Marjorie and Steve's relationship. Some critics have claimed that Marjorie was never as invested in the relationship as Steve was, while others have argued that Steve has gone above and beyond to support the luxury lifestyle the couple is known for. These are claims that have been widely discussed online, but they remain opinions rather than proven facts. Now, with the latest wave of speculation making the rounds, some people are once again pushing theories about trouble behind the scenes. Others have even suggested that one reason Steve rarely responds aggressively to these stories is because Marjorie is seen as a very influential presence in the household. These are rumors and assumptions that continue to circulate online, not verified facts. People have also revisited discussions about Marjorie's past relationships and personal history. Various reports from years ago connected her former husband, Jim L. Townsend, to a major legal case that attracted significant public attention at the time. His legal situation became headline news and remained a topic of discussion for years afterward. Because of that history, some online commentators continue to bring up those old stories whenever conversations about the Harvey family resurface.
Came late, came down front with my girlfriend. Our seats were right here at the front, right by the stage. So we were sitting here. The stage was here. So he's just quiet. He just keeps staring at me. So I'm waiting on him to make me a part of the show so we can get on with the show. So he stayed quiet so long, staring at me. Now everybody in the club is looking at me. And so he finally realized, okay, I got to say something. He was like, oh, I'm sorry. I don't know who this is, but I'm gonna marry.
According to reports from that period, investigators were also looking into whether Marjorie had any connection to the broader case involving her then-husband. Various accounts have claimed that authorities believed they had information linking her to the situation. However, no allegations against her were ultimately proven in court, and many details that continue to circulate today come from stories and claims that remain heavily disputed. Some reports have further alleged that Jim L. Townsend accepted responsibility in the case while trying to protect his family during a difficult time. According to those accounts, the couple was expecting a child, and there were concerns about the impact the situation could have on their children. These claims have been repeated over the years, but many aspects remain the subject of debate and differing versions of events. Years later, Townsend reportedly spoke about releasing a tell-all book titled Snakes in the Garden, the untold story of the life of Jim, aka Jimmy L. Townsend. The proposed book was said to contain his perspective on events from that chapter of his life and generated attention from people following the story. And that's where the conversation takes another dramatic turn. Around the same time that relationship rumors involving the Harvey family were spreading online, another controversy began making headlines. A leaked phone conversation involving Steve's longtime radio co-host Shirley Strawberry started circulating. In a recording, Shirley allegedly discussed Steve and Marjorie's relationship dynamics, including claims that Steve was intimidated by Marjorie and comments about how staff members were treated. As with many stories connected to celebrity gossip, those claims quickly sparked intense debate across social media and entertainment blogs. Beyond the comments from Shirley and Marjorie's former husband, another person whose name often comes up in these discussions is Steve Harvey's ex-wife, Mary. Over the years, Mary has publicly shared her own version of events and made a number of claims about the relationship dynamics surrounding Steve and Marjorie. It's important to note that these statements reflect her perspective and have been the subject of public debate. Mary alleged that Marjorie was involved in Steve's life while his previous marriage was still ongoing and claimed there were situations that made her aware of that connection. These allegations have never been fully verified and remain part of a much larger story told from different viewpoints. Mary further spoke about the challenges she faced after her divorce, describing major lifestyle changes and difficulties adjusting to a completely different reality. She also discussed family-related disputes and expressed her belief that Marjorie played a significant role in some of those events. As with many celebrity family disputes, these claims remain contested and continue to generate discussion years later.
Has not been told. Now you know that daughter, Lori Harvey, right?
Yes.
Well, I'm Lori Harvey's father.
You are Lori Harvey's father? Oh my God! Oh my...
Like I said, nobody knows that. I'm putting this out here for the very first time.
By the way, Freeman also shared a story about how he allegedly came into contact with Steve Harvey's second wife, Mary Harvey, during the highly publicized divorce proceedings between Steve and Mary. According to Freeman, this conversation took place while the legal dispute was attracting major media attention. Freeman claimed that Mary reached out to him directly and told him, "Boom, I need you to tell the truth about what happened." He said that he initially responded by saying he didn't want to get involved because of the complicated situation. However, Freeman alleged that Mary believed important details were being misrepresented in public discussions about the divorce. He went on to make additional claims about events that allegedly took place behind the scenes during that period. It is important to emphasize that these allegations have not been independently verified and remain disputed. At the end of the day, what we're looking at is a collection of serious claims, old stories, and viral interview clips that continue circulating across platforms like TikTok and X. The clips have generated plenty of attention, but many of the statements being discussed remain unconfirmed and heavily debated online. And that's exactly why this story keeps pulling people back in. Every time one of these old clips resurfaces, social media goes into detective mode, with users digging through past interviews, archived posts, and years-old headlines, looking for anything they might have missed. What makes the situation even more interesting is that a lot of the current discussion isn't being driven by new evidence. Instead, people are revisiting older claims and comparing them with public statements that have already been made over the years. One side argues that the rumors have been repeatedly denied and should have ended long ago, while the other side insists there are still unanswered questions. Meanwhile, the Harvey family has largely continued focusing on their careers, business ventures, and public appearances, despite the non-stop chatter. But as anyone who follows celebrity news already knows, once a story gains momentum online, it can take on a life of its own. Whether the claims are accurate or not, the debate keeps finding a way back into the spotlight, and that's exactly why people are still talking about it today. And as the conversation continued gaining traction, another thing started standing out to a lot of people online. The sheer number of different versions of the story has made it difficult for anyone to separate fact from speculation. Depending on who is telling it, the details can change dramatically, which has only added more confusion to the situation. That's why many viewers have started paying closer attention to what can actually be confirmed publicly versus what comes from interviews, personal accounts, and internet discussions. Over the years, several people connected to the story have shared their own perspectives, but those accounts don't always match up. That disconnect has become a major talking point whenever the topic resurfaces. Meanwhile, social media has played a huge role in keeping the rumors alive. Short clips, reposted interviews, and old headlines can spread across the internet in a matter of hours, introducing the story to an entirely new audience. Before long, thousands of people are discussing events that originally made news years ago, creating yet another wave of debate and speculation around the Harvey family.
Marjorie has her own spa, her own workout room, and her own spa. And she could go in there and get massages every day. People come to her house and work her out and all of that. I was like, oh God, what a dream. No, I haven't seen her, but she looks good on her pictures. No, she's not there. If she was there, we probably wouldn't have been all over the house.
What has also caught people's attention is how quickly public opinion seems to shift whenever a new clip or interview starts trending. One week, viewers are convinced the rumors have been completely debunked, and the next week, an old video resurfaces and sends the discussion right back into overdrive. That's been one of the biggest reasons this story refuses to disappear. Another detail that keeps coming up is the contrast between online speculation and the image the family presents publicly. Over the years, Steve and Marjorie have continued appearing together at events, sharing family moments, and moving forward with their projects despite all the noise surrounding them. For supporters of the couple, that's often pointed to as evidence that many of the rumors are being blown out of proportion. Still, critics argue that public appearances don't necessarily answer every question being raised online, and that's where the debate continues to split into two very different camps. One group sees years of unproven claims and internet gossip, while the other believes there are still pieces of the story that haven't been fully explained. As long as that divide exists, the conversation is likely to keep resurfacing whenever another headline or interview clip makes the rounds. And if there's one thing that has become clear throughout all of this, it's that the internet rarely lets a headline fade away completely. Even stories that seemed settled years ago can suddenly return to the spotlight when someone reposts an old interview, shares a forgotten clip, or brings up a past claim that many people had already moved on from. What's especially interesting here is how much of the discussion is now being driven by online communities, piecing together timelines and comparing different accounts of events. People are constantly revisiting old statements, looking for inconsistencies, and debating whether certain claims line up with what was said publicly in the past. That has turned the entire situation into an ongoing topic of conversation, rather than a story with a clear ending. At the same time, there are plenty of observers who believe the rumors have grown far beyond the available facts. They argue that years of speculation, repeated retellings, and viral posts have created a narrative that keeps expanding every time it gets shared. Whether someone sees the story as unresolved questions or simply a cycle of recurring rumors, one thing is certain.
I think about how quickly he moved forward from me to Marjorie. That was disturbing.
The public fascination with the Harvey family shows no signs of slowing down anytime soon. And that's where another layer of the story starts to emerge. Beyond the rumors themselves, many people have become fascinated by how every person connected to the situation seems to have a completely different version of events. Depending on which interview, podcast, or social media post someone watches, the narrative can sound entirely different from one source to the next. That has led some viewers to question why these claims continue resurfacing after so many years. Is it simply because celebrity stories naturally attract attention, or is it because every new interview seems to introduce another detail that reignites public curiosity? That's a question that keeps popping up whenever the topic starts trending again. What's undeniable is that the discussion has grown far beyond the original allegations. At this point, people aren't just talking about one rumor. They're analyzing old relationships, revisiting past interviews, and debating statements that were made years apart. Every time someone involved speaks out, even briefly, social media immediately starts dissecting every word for clues and hidden meanings. Well, as a result, the story has evolved into something much bigger than a single headline. It's become an ongoing internet mystery for many followers of celebrity news, with each new wave of discussion bringing fresh theories, reactions, and questions right back to the surface. And while the internet continues digging through old claims, another thing has become impossible to ignore. The longer a story stays in the public eye, the more difficult it becomes to separate original reports from the countless opinions that get added along the way. Over time, theories, reactions, and speculation can start blending together, creating an entirely new version of the narrative that spreads just as fast as the original story. That's exactly what many observers believe has happened here. Years after the first rumors appeared, people are still debating details that have been discussed over and over again. Some point to past interviews as important pieces of the puzzle, while others argue that repeated retellings have only made the story more confusing. The result is a conversation that seems to evolve every time it resurfaces. Another reason the topic keeps generating attention is that every public appearance, social media post, or interview involving the Harvey family tends to attract extra scrutiny. Even the smallest comments can trigger a flood of reactions online, with viewers trying to connect dots that may or may not actually be related. Because of that, what started as a celebrity rumor has transformed into a much larger discussion about perception, public image, and the power of social media. And judging by the way people continue reacting whenever the topic comes up, the debate is far from over. And as this story continues making the rounds, some people have started focusing on a different question altogether. Instead of asking whether every rumor is true or false, they're looking at how these stories managed to stay relevant for so long in the first place. In today's social media world, a single clip can be reposted thousands of times and suddenly feel brand new, even if it originally surfaced years ago. That's one reason discussions surrounding the Harvey family seem to come in waves. A podcast mention, an old interview, or a resurfaced social media post can instantly bring the entire conversation back into public view. Before long, new audiences are discovering claims that longtime followers have already debated countless times. At the center of it all is the ongoing battle between public perception and private reality. People on the outside only see pieces of the picture, while much of what actually happens behind the scenes remains unknown. That gap often creates room for speculation, and speculation is exactly what keeps internet conversations alive.
For now, the biggest takeaway is that the story has taken on a life of its own. Whether people view the claims as unanswered questions, recycled rumors, or a mix of both, the public interest remains remarkably strong. And every time another clip resurfaces, the discussion seems to start all over again with a fresh round of reactions and theories. And what's fascinating is how the conversation has expanded beyond the original rumors and into a much bigger debate about celebrity culture itself. The Harvey family isn't the first high-profile family to face years of speculation, and they certainly won't be the last. But the way this story keeps resurfacing has turned it into a case study of how quickly narratives can evolve online. Many longtime followers have noticed that every new wave of attention seems to introduce a fresh audience to the story. People who weren't around when the original headlines appeared are now discovering old interviews, archived clips, and social media discussions for the first time. As a result, conversations that seemed finished years ago suddenly start trending all over again. At the same time, others argue that the constant cycle of reposts and reactions can sometimes make rumors appear bigger than they actually are. When the same claims are repeated across multiple platforms, they can take on an entirely new level of visibility, regardless of whether any new information has emerged. That's why the topic continues generating such strong reactions. Some viewers see a collection of unresolved questions, while others see a story that has been stretched far beyond its original scope. Either way, every resurfaced clip, interview, or comment seems to add another chapter to a discussion that just refuses to fade from the spotlight. Before we wrap this up, it's important to remember one key fact. Steve and Marjorie Harvey have publicly denied these relationship rumors, and no verified evidence has been presented to prove the claims being discussed. A lot of what has been circulating online comes from interviews, personal accounts, speculation, and theories that continue to spark debate across social media. As always, it's important to separate confirmed information from unverified rumors. This video has simply explored the timeline, the allegations, the responses, and the online discussions that have kept people talking for years. With so many competing stories and opinions floating around, it's no surprise that the topic continues to generate strong reactions whenever it resurfaces. Now, I want to hear from you. Do you believe this is just another celebrity rumor that has taken on a life of its own, or do you think there are still unanswered questions surrounding this story? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, share this video, and turn on notifications so you don't miss any future updates. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.